All right, guys. So it's 5 p.m., 2 p.m. where I stay. Let's go ahead and get this kicked off. Housekeeping, as always, please make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss these. Hopefully by now people are accustomed to the time I go live. It's pretty consistent, 5 p.m. every Sunday. But I would request, please leave comments on the actual video on YouTube so that we can read it later and see what people like, what they want more of, what they want less of. And if you do like what we do, give us a thumbs up. As always, we appreciate that. Cobra Trading. If you guys need a broker that you can trust and has good commissions and hands down the best customer service, do not look any further than Cobra. I'm not kidding, guys. I've seriously been with every broker. I've still got lots of other brokers, but this is the one that I use on a day-to-day basis. And honestly, if I had to choose just one broker, it wouldn't even be close. It would be Cobra. So there is a link in the description if you want to use it. You will get 25% off your commissions as well as a month of whatever platform you choose for free. Spike Heat, guys, you know by now I am huge on tracking data. And if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, where it takes you hours upon hours every single day, then have at it. But these guys provide you with the ability to do it at the click of a button, run these scans, pull historical data, and honestly, it's such a time saver. And we repeat this every friggin' week, but your tools are what help you run your business. Do not go cheap on your tools. Spend the money to have the good tools, guys. And of course, Scripts to Trade, guys, hands down the coolest dudes in the industry. They work with all the big traders on creating their own custom indicators. They have indicators that are stocked that they're ready to go and sell. You've got scripts for Thinkorswim, you got scripts for TradingView, you've got volume forecast, you've got they've got a new Pivot Pro script. There's so many different things these guys do. Make sure you guys check them out. And real quick, this is the earnings for the week. There is a few notable ones in there. Obviously, Nike is after hours, after the close tomorrow. So there's a few bigger names in there, but we are still, again, getting to the tail end of this quarter's earnings. And so as that starts tapering off, more and more of the focus will just be on whatever kind of other catalysts are in the market or sectors catch bids. All right, so let's talk about the topic today, which is how to kind of deal with rough patches in the market. So, typically what happens, especially if you've been trading for a while, is you'll get traction. You'll have something that's it seems to work really well, and you start to build confidence. You size up, things are going great. But as time passes, you start to kind of stray. You'll find yourself seeing setups that it's not your bread and butter, but you've seen it enough times, and you're just like, let's try that, and let's try this. I didn't catch anything in the opening 30 minutes of the day, which is typically when I trade. So let me sit here for another hour and a half and see if maybe I catch something, right? And when you start to kind of stray, you start to see it in your results, right? And it doesn't happen all at once usually. Sometimes it's a slow progression to where you're like, one day you just kind of look at what's going on with the bigger picture, and you're like, dude, somewhere along the line I got off the path. So when you experience that type of thing in your journey, the one thing that you need to be able to do is you need to know what is your bread and butter. What is your A+ setup? What is the thing that you know how to do best? What is your core competency? And go back to that. And I mean only that. You need to be able to have this set up in your trade book that is it's just your go-to setup when things get rough. And it doesn't mean that it's automatically going to fix all your problems, right? Some setups, depending on what it is that's your A+ setup or your bread and butter, some setups don't work so well in every single market environment. So like if you're finding yourself struggling and then you go back to that A setup and you still are struggling, you still need to stay focused on it. What you need to do is collect more and more data. And here's the thing. You can't identify what the issue is with your trading if you're trying a million different things. If you're disciplined and you're sticking to just one setup, just your A+ bread and butter, well, guess what? then you can figure out what's not working about that through the data, because all the results that you're getting are from that one thing. But if you don't stay disciplined and go almost like hyper focus on that core competency of yours, you're not going to really know what is causing the ups and downs in your results. So I just want to emphasize, like, everybody should have their A+ setup, that thing that earlier in your career you were able to identify that you do really well, and it was what got you on that trajectory of becoming a successful, profitable, consistent trader. And if you're not there yet, then that should still be your focus, right? You really should be trying to find this one thing that you can do really, really well. Because once you do, you just build upon it, right? The momentum builds, your confidence builds, your P&L builds. And remember, that shouldn't be the focus. Your focus should just be on the process. But usually when you do everything right and keep your head down, the P&L is a byproduct. So that's just a reminder, guys, because I know a lot of people, we spent over a decade in this bull trend, this bull market. And, when the market tops and rolls over and we go into this period of uncertainty with, three or so months of pullback correction and a lot of what some people would refer to as chop, a lot of people find it difficult. Well, maybe it has something to do with the fact that the market changed, but we are not going to know unless we go back to what we do well, okay? And the other thing is this, right? When you go back to what you do really well, you just feel at home. You feel like you're in the pocket, and you feel safe and able to execute. When you're like kind of just throwing mud at the wall, you don't have that kind of confidence that it takes to execute correctly. So that was really, I just wanted to briefly touch on that before we get into the actual prep. If you're struggling, I know a lot of traders I work with out there, they're going through very similar things, and so I thought that was going to be something worth talking about today. Is like, go back to those building blocks, those things that are your A+ bread and butter core competencies, and see if that doesn't help get you back on the path, right? Quickly, let's do the disclaimer. Guys, as always, neither I, True Trader, or any of its representatives are registered as security broker dealers. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Trading is risky, and so you have to understand, nothing I talk about today is a solicitation to buy or sell any stocks. It is simply for entertainment purposes only. All right, guys, so let's get into the broader market. Like I said, last week, you could see this move. This is the ES, right? We always start with the S&P. This move up off the lows was just straight up, right? And it's very common to see these kinds of rallies after having big pullbacks, right? Whether you think we're in a bear market or not, whether you think this is a correction or not, that's not what we're here to argue about. But these kinds of rallies are very common, and if you're not aware of that, you can really get your face ripped off. Now, let's just keep things 100% objective, and just talk about trend, right? Now, if you remember, we had this yellow circle drawn, I think, 2 weeks ago, right? And we talked about the fact that it doesn't really matter where that yellow circle is drawn. What it is trying to illustrate is we may be trying to put in a higher low on the weekly time frame. So even though we didn't draw the circle where the bottom of this low ended up being, it doesn't matter. It was still a higher low. And now, as of, I believe it was just Friday, right? It actually confirmed the higher low by breaking above these highs, right? So in terms of what is a trend, a downtrend is lower highs followed by lower lows, which is what we've had, right? Pull back, push up, lower high, roll over, take out lows, lower low. Now look, we pushed up, we made this intermediate high here, we had a pullback, made a higher low, and now we have broken this level. So in terms of just pure trend and pure looking at this time frame objectively, we had room back to the weekly 20. That would be the target for this setup. So we talked about this in prior weeks, right? When we finally do get that trigger to get heading back up, it doesn't completely get the bears or the bulls out of the woods, right? This is the first domino that needs to fall in a whole strew of them to get us to get the ship righted and heading back north. But remember, we still have the weekly 20. We still have this resistance up here, which is the monthly high from February. And we still, if you look at a monthly chart, we haven't had a single month where we can get above the previous month's highs. So now that we had that weekly trigger on the weekly chart where we finally have what could be the first attempt at reversing this trend, the next thing would be to see, can we break February's highs? We are kind of getting towards the end of March, so it may not happen in March. We may kind of just consolidate for a while, go sideways, and then maybe April's candle attempts to break March's highs. But whatever happens, that's the next step in the process, is we need to eventually try to break the previous month's highs and get above that range. And so, let's look at the daily here. Whoops. The daily, I'm using a different monitor today. If you guys are wondering, hopefully it doesn't look too different to you guys. Hopefully you guys can see everything just as clearly. I'm just using a different one of my screens. But again, we have been just riding this daily 20 down, right? Push up into the daily 20, roll back over. Push up into the daily 20, roll back over. Now this is where we got that turn, right? This is where those yellow circles were drawn on the weekly chart. So here's your low, here's your push up into the daily 20, the pullback to make the higher low, and then the break. Now, as far as levels, we are still right into tons of resistance. You're into the 200 right here. You got your weekly 20 up here. But again, we're not trying to, we don't need a crystal ball, guys. We just need to make a bunch of if-then statements. So first if-then statement when you have a trend reversal like this is, if this is the bottom, if this is going to go higher, it is not, that thesis is not busted until we can get back under these lows and make new lows. So regardless whether we attack all-time highs or we just go sideways and consolidate and build a base for a while, either one, this uptrend that we may be starting here is still intact unless we lose the lows. Okay, so at this point, all pullbacks to serious levels of support can be looked at as the possibility of maybe we can put some risk on here on the long side. And I'm telling you, when I was going through charts this weekend, there is a lot of really, really good looking charts out there where some really nice bases have been built, and there's a lot of opportunity if this is the bottom and if this is going to reverse. Now, again, we don't need a crystal ball, because remember, we're just here creating if-then statements. So if we don't lose these lows, then all dips to support can be looked at as long opportunities, and we know where we're wrong, right? As long as we don't break these lows, then we're either going to go higher or sideways and consolidate, and either or still fine for the bulls, right? The longer we build a base, the more this can build something substantial to push from, so that when we do try to make that push, maybe it's actually got some legs to stand on. A lot of times when the bounces happen, if they happen too quick, it doesn't have that sustainability. Now, take that with a grain of salt, because we just had the March 2020 V bottom bounce, which I don't know if anybody was prepared for that thing to do what it did. But again, that's welcome to the market, guys. That's the world we operate in. That's what we signed up for, right? The uncertainty is what allows for opportunity. All right, so again, keep in mind, just because we may be putting in a bottom doesn't mean there's not opportunity on the short side still as well. I still feel like, one, this push from this area on Monday, actually just the beginning of last week, we'll call it, we had a week of just nothing but straight face ripping. There's really been no breather. I mean, the pullbacks have been very shallow. The higher this goes without any sort of reset, and I think we really do see some opportunities on the short side as well for names that are getting extended and pushing into levels of resistance. So, just keep that in mind. There's going to be, until we actually get above some other levels, I still think the shorts are big time in play. Let's see here. So the weekly 20 is the first level. I don't know why I don't have an alert set there. I'm going to set one right now. Let's call that the weekly 20. I do want to know when we push up into that level. And then February's highs I have marked, and then I also have above February's highs marked by a little bit, just so I know that if we actually trigger and get that monthly bar break, meaning do we actually break above February's highs, I want to know. And then dips back to 42.60 area I've got, and then below that is last week's lows. I don't know if we're going to come that far down, but again, anything can happen, guys. If then statements. If we come down to these levels, I will be looking at a lot of ideas on the long side, as I feel like that's going to be a key level of support to hold. So the reason I talk this out with you guys, I want you guys to understand just the thought process. I'm not giving you a game plan. I'm just giving you the way that my brain operates when I see these levels come back into play. So the next chart we're going to look at is the NQ, the NASDAQ. Now, NASDAQ was slightly different than the way SPY played out, but that has a lot to do with the fact that growth stocks were getting killed a lot more than just your typical other sectors, other industries. But the tech stocks actually did make new lows down here. I will obviously point out the fact that it happened on just an ever quick little flush down, and we were straight back up, ripping with the rest of the market, right? Again, ripping right into the 50-day, right into some key levels of resistance. I've got this level up here at 14,644 marked as if we were to keep pushing come Monday. I still think that there's a lot of short opportunity in this market. If we get through that level, the next level I've marked is the 200-day area up here, which is going to put us into the 15,000 psychological level. And then up here you have obviously these February highs marked, and above the February highs as well, so that I know, did we make new highs on the monthly chart. On the downside, let's see what this level I'm looking at here is. It's going to be, let's just call it 14,000 psychological round level, and then below that's going to be 13,900, and then 13,750. Remember, these aren't written in stone levels. These are areas. That's why these are just alerts set on my charts. So if price comes down here, I get an alert. I don't have to just be staring at the broader market all day, even though I definitely have the Qs and the SPY up all day long while I'm working. But I don't just stare at them. So I do like to just get these alerts. Let me know, okay, key resistance level. Let me see what else is pushing into resistance in order for a possible short, or key support level. Let me take a look around. Are there other stocks that are on my radar that are also pulling back into key support levels? And Bitcoin, guys. Of course, we always talk about the crypto. This one's getting kind of interesting. We still are getting tight. We're just coiling up really nice. But again, in my opinion, until we get over that 46,000 level, I mean, it's not 46 exactly. It is 45,855. Until we get over 45,855. I hate these 5-digit numbers for prices, but until we clear that, everything in between is just noise. So we've said that a few times, right? Anything below 46K and anything above 33K is really just noise, where we're just kind of trying to tighten up, build a base, and whenever it finally decides to make that push, it can do so. If it breaks above, cool. We should have a lot of strength and follow through on a lot of the crypto names. If we break below, cool. We should probably have a lot of strength and follow through to the downside on these crypto names. So keep in mind, that's, as long as we're just coiling and going sideways, I'm keeping it on watch. And I've been getting a lot of text messages and DMs about the crypto space. So I think a lot of people are getting they're getting on edge. They think oh, we're about to break. This is coming. So I hope it does, because if it does, it really should spell some really good opportunities for the equities that follow those things. So that's it for the broader market, guys. We're going to jump into the sector analysis. This is barchart.com, your stock sector matrix, the short-term matrix, right? So it just shows you the last week, the month, and the 3 months, and how these sectors have performed. And if you look, these are some really big numbers. I mean, if you follow this on a week-to-week basis, right? It's not very often you have these kind of percentage moves in the sectors. So these have been some really big moves, and as you should know, really big moves, even though they're great and it's good for the bulls and it's showing some strength and stuff, sometimes it becomes very easy for things to be overdone and run straight up into some key resistance levels and give the shorts, the bears, some great opportunities as well. The two that stick out the most to me are consumer discretionary and the financials, because both had started to look weak for the first time in a long time, and both had really big rallies. So let's go ahead and check out the ETFs, and we'll see some of these. We'll just go through them all as always. Try to keep it quick. Retail had a nice long trigger. I got the alert on Friday for that one. No different than what we saw on the SPY, right? Pullback low, push up, intermediate high right into the 20-day, higher low, and then the break. So is that bullish? Short term, yes, but let's look at it on the weekly chart. You got resistance right up here at these weekly highs, as well as the weekly 20 straight up there. So I think we have room to the upside. But when we start getting into these key levels, in fact, I'll go ahead and mark some resistance here. When we start pushing up into these levels, I want to know, because I think we're going to get some near-term downside that can be played on a lot of these retail names. I'll just mark the one. If I get that alert, then I'll know. And financials. Remember what we were just saying. This one was the one that we had talked about where we had finally fallen out of this channel, right? And I was like, man, it's the first time in a while that the financial sectors really actually started to look weak. And what did we do? Straight up rally right into these levels. It's going to be kind of, I actually think where we ended up on Friday is kind of make or break. Do we reclaim that level and then dips start to hold, or does it stuff right here and we roll back over? Because that's a big push right into a lot of resistance. Real estate, I don't trade too much. Healthcare has a huge rip, and this one is well back into some levels. So I would actually argue that this is the kind of move that you would like to see the financials sector make, to where you think, okay, maybe the bulls are back in control. So what I'd be looking for here is, do the pullbacks to the weekly 20 start to hold? Again, this could just as easily be a lower high forming here, and then we come back under these lows and roll over. I can't stress this enough. It's not about making predictions. It's about creating a game plan so that you can react to whatever happens, okay? If this is a bear market and if we are going to go lower, then the first thing that needs to happen is lower highs need to be put in on these rallies. If we start making all-time highs again on some of these ETFs and some of like the bigger futures things, like if SPY, Qs, XLK, if communications can kind of get upright, but a lot of them have a lot of work cut out for them. Like this is communications. This is so far from looking like it's bullish again that, all the other sectors maybe are going to pull their weight, but you're going to have so many of them that are lagging and just can't get anything going. So, again, it's not about having a crystal ball. It's just about being able to look at something like this healthcare sector. I trade CVS, we trade the Modernas and the Pfizers, and there's a lot of there's a lot of industries within the sector, and there's a lot of companies in all those industries that we trade. And so big spikes up into these levels can definitely be looked at as possible short opportunities. But when you get this reversal on this, what we have seen as a lot of weakness, one of the key things I really look to see is, do the pullbacks start to hold? Do we start to, in fact, I'm just going to mark a level of support here on this one, same way I did resistance on retail. And that way I know when we're testing these levels, because that's what I want to see hold. Let's see here if I can get these to the next one. Materials I don't trade, industrials I don't trade too much, utilities I don't trade. I do track them. Obviously, when you start to see certain sectors doing really well and staying really strong, sometimes it can signal, what market cycle we're in. Here's your consumer staples. Again, this is the one that I was telling you guys, I feel like it had a really nice rally. We're back above some of these levels. So either we pull back and hold this 73.40 area, and maybe we can try to get going. But again, we're right into the 20-day. There's still this level up here we could run into. Just this, gotta love when that happens. Sometimes TradingView makes my trend lines disappear and I can't find them. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else has that problem. Let's see here. All right. Anyway, yeah, so you got the 50-day, you got this downtrend line. So keep in mind, there's opportunities on both sides here. Do the pullbacks start to hold? Does this start to look strong again? Or do we push higher and run straight into resistance? Or are we already into it? And, again, it's not like we're trading the ETFs either, guys. We're looking at them. We're saying, where's the money going? Where's money not going? I think communications was a good example of that. It's pretty obvious that the money has not really rotated back into the communications sector the same way it has in some of the other ones. Why is that important? Well, you kind of want to follow the big money because big money moves markets. If the big money's not rotating back into the sector, good luck finding any follow through in some of those names. And then energy and oil. I want to highlight the fact, I think we talked about it last week as well. They've really done a good job of holding the 20-day and just resetting, and they both look like they've reset. Actually, oil's still back up after Thursday and Friday, but still acting very bullish. And if you remember, these charts have been on our watch for a very long time for the fact that a lot of this is what you want to see for a reversal, guys, on these higher time frames. And actually, you can even see it on the monthly really well, and that is just a very long secular downtrend has convincingly ended, right? This is how downtrends end. And even though we're pushing into resistance, you may find some turbulence ahead for the bulls, but as long as they can hold trend, they can always go higher. And so just keep that in mind when you see names like, I think 2 weeks ago we had a lot of the oil names, a lot of the energy names were on watch for shorts. But after they give the short and pull back and hold, you have to acknowledge it and go, okay, look, they either need to extend again and get back to looking overbought on some time frames like the daily, the weekly, and in order to give another shot at that A+ setup, or they need to show a trend reversal on some time frames like the daily chart. Let's look at energy and show what that might look like. All right, so if this were to want to show me some sort of weakness, right? So far, it's just held the 20-day, pull back. As long as we stay above this 70-40 level, it looks fine. What I would not want to see if I was a bull is for this to try to make a real push, not just this consolidation on the 20-day, but try to make a real push and put in a significant lower high and then come and break these lows. That would be what would signal the reversal on the daily chart for me, and thinking, maybe this can come back, test the 50-day. But again, as long as it's holding this uptrend, holding the 20, like look at every other time it's done it. Hold the 20, higher. Hold the 20, higher. So you kind of have to understand that if this wants to go higher, it's got the recipe right there, ready to go. Okay, that was probably way too much talking, guys. Let's get into the actual ideas for the week. We'll start with the long setups, strong stocks looking for continuation. And I already know that the first name on this list is going to have a lot of people scratching their head, because you're going to look at this chart and you're like, what the hell does Ricky mean, strong stock looking for continuation? It's Rivian. No, it's not been a strong stock, but it definitely had a good week. I know that's not saying much since everything had a good week, but I like this hammer candle from Thursday. I would like to see, let me put the pivots on here with you guys. You can see we got that monthly pivot at 38.87. It coincides with Thursday's low a day pretty well. I would like to see, the other thing is this, we've just had 4 straight days of up move into resistance, right? You see that monthly pivot at 46.19. I think that's going to give us what we need to see this roll over and come flushing down into some levels. And I think if it does and gets down to that monthly pivot, I think you can put a trade on right there with really tight risk and have a good shot at that being a support level that gives a good bounce. And this stock has the liquidity and the range, right? It's a $5 ATR. Traded 20 million shares on Friday. like you can put some size on. It's that price range where, you know, it's pretty amazing to have a $40 stock that has a $5 ATR and is very liquid, right? So I'm looking for a rollover, come down, see if we can test Thursday's low a day, that monthly pivot for a bounce. And yeah, that's the idea on Rivian heading into the week. Next idea is, and this is kind of a twofer, because typically I won't give you two stocks in the same sector, industry, or whatever. But with crypto looking like it's poised to make that push, if it does, I want to have these two names on watch. The first one's Mara. And what I want to point out about Mara is this has been basing really, really well. Let's look. That's the monthly 20. That's what we've pulled back into. We're just riding the monthly 20. You see these tails forming every time we come down here. That 20 level just holds. If crypto goes, I think Mara is really set up here. And so I may actually look to buy weakness and see if we get day trades out of it that allow me to then keep a runner on in case that crypto does trigger over that 46K level. When I say crypto, I mean Bitcoin, okay? If Bitcoin goes, you're going to have the coins going, the Maras, the Riots, there's even a lot of them that have fallen off people's radars, like SPRT used to be SPR. I think it's GRE now. There's BTBT, there's BTB, there's a lot of cheaper ones, but I like Mara. The range and the liquidity is usually there. So I'm looking to scoop 25. Yeah, that 25 level. You got your 50-day. And I think if we take a look in here, you'll see on Thursday you had that dip. Look at a 5-minute chart for you. Thursday, this dip was right into 25. And, you know, I'm not really interested in playing any of the support levels from Friday. I'd like to see some levels from Friday get breached, bring in some panic selling, send us back down to 25. 25 is that psychological level. It's your 50-day, and it also showed the ability to hold on Thursday. So that's the level on Mara. Riot, I told you, it's the same, right? So it depends, I guess, on what price range you want to play, because I think if one gives the trade, they both give the trade. Riot, I'm looking for 1720. You can see the monthly pivot there. You know, you might want to give it a little more, maybe dip under 17. That coincides with that same dip on Thursday that Mara had. And I like the daily chart on both of them, right? You can see the 50-day and the monthly pivot right there at 1720. 1630 is the next level, which is down there at your 20-day. Again, the idea for me is to possibly buy weakness for a day trade. And if they close strong and I locked in profit and I'm sitting on some cushion, maybe keep a runner on in case we get that Bitcoin break over 46K sometime this week or next. We'll see. You know, and if the idea works for the first part, let's say we get the day trade, we lock some in, I still have a stop on for the swing idea, right? I'm not just going to be like, well, I just have a swing piece on, I'll just ride this down. No, that's not the way it works. I still have stops on for the swings as well, guys. All right, so that was the two for the Merit and the Riot. The next idea is MP. I love this chart. This chart here, guys, this just looks, especially like if you look at some higher time frames, this just looks like it's just behaving very well. Pullbacks are just bought up. We're just holding these dips. Honestly, it already triggered last week. I can show you what I mean when I say that. Let's draw this out real fast. Oh, not that big. So you can clearly see this little setup here. And we were able to breach this level last, I think it was Friday. We'll have to look at the daily chart to see it. But that trigger is what should take us up to the all-time highs and possibly even higher if the trend is going to continue. Now, I don't want to chase these higher time frame setups on weeklies and monthly charts. I do not like to chase the price. I feel like you almost always get dips back to levels. So for me personally, if it doesn't dip and it just goes, it's one of those ones I miss. But the first spot I'm looking is this 42 area, I think. What did I write down? 4160, sorry. Yeah, you got your monthly and your quarterly pivot just kind of stacked right in there. And, you know, I just feel like it's going to take a lot to get back down there. And I do have a second level, but the second level is more for the swing trade. I think if we come down to test anywhere in this 39 to 38 level, I may put some on for the swing and see if we just hold the 200-day. I really think this chart's shaping up. And again, it's going to depend on what the bulls are ready to do in the broader market. Is the bottom in on this correction that we've had, or are we going to put in a lower high on the higher time frames and then work our way lower? Only time's going to tell. But with that, the possibility of the trend change on the weekly chart for the SPY and the NASDAQ, remember what we were talking about. If we pull back to levels of support, I'm going to treat them as opportunities on the long side. So that's exactly the plan here on these names. And the last name on this list is BTU. And actually, we played this in True Trader on Thursday. So you can see we had this nice tight inside day on Wednesday. We're holding the 20-day after the pullback. It's in that energy oil sector that we were just talking about, the way they've been behaving. You get this inside day, and then we broke Wednesday's highs, and we got long. And it was a good trader. From an intraday perspective, it wasn't that nice because you got the big move. It held support when it pulled back, but then it just couldn't continue. And when it rolled back over, this 2110 level is obviously significant. We just keep holding it, right? I kind of think it's too close. So I basically wrote in the notes, I want to scoop 20. I'm hoping this kind of breaks below these levels, comes down to the 20-day, that psychological round 20 level. I want 20, but I will watch to see if they defend 2110. If they defend 2110, I might want to get in there, have some tight risk, and see if they send this, because I do think this is going to have another leg. There was something I wanted to mention about one of these tickers, and I already had forgotten it, so I'll see if I spot it and remember. But the next section I typically go over, guys, is oversold reversion setups. There's nothing out there right now that is remotely oversold. There's things that were oversold, and you can look at them as the bottom's in or the bottom's not. God, dude, I wish I had got that one put on. This one was from the Sunday prep a little while ago. It's behaved so well. Square was one. Square looks good. Square looks like dips to support can be bought, but it's not oversold anymore, right? So that's why it doesn't end up in this section. So we're going to move right into the short ideas. I do have some other sections to the Sunday prep that aren't typically in. So as soon as we finish up these short ideas, I'm going to talk about some swing trades that have been shaping up. And then there's a special situation with Mullen that I promised you guys I would talk about. So for the short ideas, the first idea, this is weak stocks looking for continuation. First idea is Fossil. I'm interested to see if the volume picks up a little. I'm not a fan of, 2 million shares a day is okay, but not really at this price range. I'd like to see more liquidity, but there is this, if you just draw a straight line straight across here, this is like the most obvious level I've ever seen. So this 1130 to 1140 area, I feel like, we've had 4 straight days of straight up. You get one more big push, and you got the monthly pivot, you've got your monthly 20, you've got your 50-day, your weekly 20. I mean, the 20-day will creep down there too. I feel like that's a big short opportunity into that 1140 area on Fossil. I just kind of wish there was a little more liquidity. We'll see how it trades on Monday. The next idea in this list is CPNG. Now, Chinese, yes, Chinese have had some really big bounces. One of the things I think you should learn to do as a trader is say, like, okay, look, China sector. A lot of the Chinese names had really big bounces. Okay, well, what does it tell you when you look at one like this and the bounce wasn't so big? Kind of, to me, shows that one just doesn't have the strength that the other ones did. So it kind of becomes like that the weakest one in the herd type mentality where, if you're a lion stalking your prey, you don't go after the strongest freaking elephant that's running the Sahara. You are looking for that little weak baby to, just bite the ankle, take it down, and be having a easy meal. It's always about what is the low-hanging fruit, guys. So for me, again, the level is pretty damn obvious. You just draw a line straight across. You got your 20-day, your 50-day, these lows, another low. So anything up into that 21, what did I write? I wrote down 2140. 2130, 2140, 2150. Spike up there. I think CPNG is going to give a nice fade. Make sure you guys understand, I always say this every week. If it slams up there and I put the trade on, it doesn't just mean that I'm like, put the trade on, close my eyes, and hope and pray, right? Like, you have to manage your risk. There's ideas every single Sunday prep that hit levels and then don't work. And you guys have to understand, like, I'm stopping out. I'm managing risk. You guys need to do the same. All right. And the last idea in this section is TTWO. And again, you guys, I want you to understand that these levels should be obvious. You want the levels to be so obvious that it's like a no-brainer, right? So 154.45 is the quarterly pivot. You had this low here that held. You had it hold here. And since we came under it, we haven't retested it. So we're almost there. I almost think, you know what? I'm going to set an alert. So I want 154.40, right? So why am I setting this alert? Can anybody tell me? This is the interactive part. Do you guys know why I might want to have an alert well ahead of that? See if anybody in the chat gets it. Take a quick sip. I'll give it a minute, guys. See if anybody answers why I'm setting this alert well ahead of the level. Nope. Someone says, so you have time to set your orders? Nope. Be ready to slam? Nope. Think about it. I want to short this at 154.50, but why would I want to know when we're approaching Friday's highs? So you can see how it's moving into that level? No. Let me give you guys a hint. It has nothing to do with that level, that 154.45 at all. It has nothing to do with preemptively being ready. Watch to see how the price action is, kind of. All right, guys. Here's the answer. Here's the answer. It might not get there. It might not get to 154.45. It might be one of those trades where it rejects Friday's high a day. Because look at where Friday's high a day is. It lines up with this low. It's pretty close to those levels, right? So, like, there's the chance that this never gets there, but still a good fade. So if we reject Friday's high a day, which was 153.20, and we get lower highs start to set in, I'll put the trade on well ahead of 154.45. 154.45 is like the level I would love to get. But again, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't need one. I just need to make a game plan. If here's the if then, guys. If this slams into Friday's high day and rejects, and then I see it struggle to get any momentum afterwards, it starts to make a lower high, I will put the short on with risk over highs. And then guess what? If it stops me out, great, because that means that now we might get the 154.45, right? And then we can try the trade again. But I want to be prepared because this is a weak stock, right? We've just been making lower highs, lower lows. It keeps coming in. I feel like this is just this big relief bounce right into levels of resistance. I don't want to miss the trade because I'm sitting there waiting for 154.45, right? So it's kind of like BTU, guys. Like BTU, I want 20, but I've got an alert set up here for 21.10, right? Because I want to know, do they defend 21.10? Same idea. All right, so that's it for the strong stocks, the longs, and that's it for the weak stocks, the shorts. I want to talk about because there's so many charts that look so good out there. I really want to talk about some swing ideas in case some of these start to work. Some of these are older. If you've been following with the Sunday prep, some of these look familiar. Like STNE was one that was a broke one, never gave an entry, right? Lost these levels. I think the new ones start here around Zen. Zen was like something I've been watching, and it's not done it yet, right? But Zen has a trigger up here, right? This kind of reminds me of like an old CRM chart, actually. Like you had this downtrend and then the break. It looked kind of like XOM, or not XOM, XOP, right? You have just these long downtrends and they finally break and you get the retest. So Zen is like that, right? And actually kind of like IBM as well. So you get this downtrend. If we can break above this level, Doesn't mean you have to get long right away, but I would definitely want to know about it, and then I want to look to see if dips start to hold, because a lot of times you'll get this breakout above this this upper channel line. You'll want to see the backfill come test it and hold. So remember, these weekly charts give you tons of time to make a plan and then get involved. You don't need to just, oh, it triggered, get long. That's not the way it works for me personally. I need to see trigger and then give me better prices. Okay, so here's the ones that I put on the list this week. DNMR. Let me look at a daily. This, guys, is what I like to see for a nice bottom being put in, right? Pull back, push up, higher low, higher high. So it's triggered. I literally want to be buying this on pullbacks to the 20-day. In fact, I'm just going to set an alert. And the risk goes under the lows. And I'm telling you right now, guys, this setup, I'll set it for there. This setup, it's valid as long as we're above the lows. My first target on this would be the weekly 20. It's currently at 836, right? Now, as time goes on, I'm not naive enough to think we're just going to go straight to the weekly 20. As time goes on, that weekly 20 is going to come down. But as of right now, if you can get an entry around 4, you know, you're looking at close to a double as your first target, right? So, you know, you're risking about, if you buy at 4, you're risking under 3. You're risking about 25% pullback, but the reward is there. So you just size appropriately. You guys, one thing I want people to understand is these swing ideas, you give them more room, and you're still objective about where you're wrong, but you just let them work, and you just put them on and be at peace with the outcome. If it can hold lows, then maybe this is turning and we're going to get a big move, because, you know, this really could push up into 8. And will it? I don't freaking know, and I don't care. But I'm willing to put the money at risk to see if the idea is right, knowing that the risk reward makes it so I only got to be right maybe 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4 ideas, okay? And if the bigger your risk reward, the more often you can be wrong and not care one bit, right? So I like DNMR. That's a tough one to say. TWOU. This one. A lot of these charts look the same, guys, right? We're getting these bases built, these nice curls. So again, I have alert set, looking to scoop. This one, I might not give it under lows. If I wanted to be very, if I had a lot of conviction in this one, I would. But I think you can tighten risk up and probably just risk under this 980 level, right? So look to scoop around 10, give it like 70 cents to a buck, but I think there's plenty of upside here. I mean, this very well might want to be one of those gap fill things, right? You guys can see this big gap here. Maybe it wants to fill the gap. If it does, I want to be a part of it, okay? Now, a lot of my friends, some of these short sellers you guys all know on Twitter, are going to kill me for putting this on watch, because this is arguably one of the biggest pieces of shit ever. MVIS is a huge turd, but this, I love this chart. And here's the other thing: even though my short selling friends are going to kill me for this, they all know that when you look at this chart right here, that there's no short. This is not a short. It needs to do this right, in order to short it. So guess what? If it wants to do that, I want to be on the long side first. And then I will definitely look to short this after it has some kind of parabolic move. But this daily chart looks just like all those other ones. And one of the things that I'm getting a little bit better at as as I get older and realize, like, man, I can't just always be short bias on everything. There's money to make on both sides. Is to really just treat it like it's just another ticker. It's just price action. Play it and be kind of agnostic to the stuff that a lot of us people that read SEC filings, we know the inner workings that happen behind these piece of junk companies, right? And in fact, there's a few more on this. The rest of this list is probably names that I'm gonna get some DMs from my friends later. Okay, so I'm looking. I have an alert set up here. You guys can read it on the screen. It says if volume comes in, it's a long over that level, right? What's that mean? It means, well, if we break that level, that's a long trigger, and I want volume to confirm it. If it just breaks that level and then slams back down, there's no real follow through, no volume, then I don't care about it. But if it breaks that level with volume, then I might look to join trend, buy dips, and risk, have tighter risk. But if it doesn't even get up there, if we flush down to the 50 days, 380 area, I kind of want to scoop it and put some on. I kind of like this chart. And it, I've seen the way these things can move. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I know if I were to scoop this at 3 and then we break over 5 and it starts to go, it probably goes to like 10 and I'm probably selling at 650. Like I'm a huge wuss when it comes to knowing these turds and how they, I know they can squeeze, but I'm just so short bias on them that I never make it to anywhere near the high. This is another one, GRWG. The pot stocks have just gotten destroyed. This is a beautiful chart. This is a beautiful bottoming, nice base that's forming. You're getting higher lows. So I've got a trigger set, so I'll know if it breaks. And I'll set another one down here just to possibly look to scoop a little. Again, it may alert me to scoop, and I may pull the chart up and just not like what I'm seeing. So it's another one of those things. Yeah, I see Russ in the chat. He says, just another moving dot. That's exactly what you got to kind of think of it as, man. It's crazy. Okay, here's another one, guys. MTTR, Matterport. This, a beautiful chart. One of the things I love about this one here is that you had this little setup right here. Oh, it didn't copy paste. Hold on. It might not even be able to see this. You get this lower high, and then you get this break right here. Sends it lower. It breaks this low here. This was like a short continuation trigger, okay? So what happens, let me get rid of this. What happens is when you break this low right here, what this stock is supposed to do is go test lows, right? And you'll hear me say this all the time. Failed, let's just say we're talking about this stock. Failed short triggers, when they fail to do what they're supposed to do, create the most powerful long triggers. So you got the failed short, and then we also got the long trigger right after, which was the break of this level, okay? And so this is kind of like this is the secret sauce right here, okay? Failed short creates the long. What does this look like on a weekly chart? I haven't even looked at the weekly chart, but what it should look like, and there's only one other situation where it might not, and that's just not enough time passed. But what this should look like is a higher low right here. This should be a higher low on the weekly chart. So let's look. And it is. It's hard to see it here, but you can see, look, push up, pull back, higher low, and then the breaks. And this is already triggered, it's already valid, and it has room to the weekly 20 and the weekly 50 up there in that 1580 range, right? So if this is gonna go from 8 to 15, I want in, okay? I want in, count me in. So I'm looking to scoop this on dips. And this one's valid, right? So what I mean by that is nothing else needs to happen for this to be me wanting to get in. I'm ready. I just need dips back to support so I can put on the trade with the best risk reward possible. Okay, UAVS, another one I'm gonna get yelled at by my friends for. This one hasn't triggered yet, needs to get above these highs up here, over $1.23. The drone stuff has kind of been in the headlines a lot. You got a lot of drone headlines with the Ukraine-Russia stuff. I don't know. One thing I have noticed, you see the volume picking up, right? And you get this kind of curl off the lows. This thing can go. Like, it's done it before. It's done it. A lot of these things are repeat offenders, guys. So, it just takes one headline. And, we break above these levels. Say we get a headline. If they PR and it gaps up and it has a ton of volume, so full disclaimer, I love to read SEC filings. I have not gone and done the digging on any of these ones I'm putting on watch right now for swings. But if they set up for shorts, I will, right? Because it's the short setups that I would like to know where are the warrants, where's the convertibles, where's the supply, right? Where is the supply? That's what we want to know. But as far as I have not done any digging on any of these yet. So like something like UAVS. One second here. Let's see. I can do it real quick for you. UAVS has. They got an ATM for. There's still $72 million left on an ATM. So could that kill a run? Yes, that could kill a run. But guess what? If they want, it's Raymond James. So if Raymond James and Stifel want to run this, they want to dump a bunch of shares from the ATM. Guess what they need to do? First, they're going to want volume. First, they're going to want. They're going to probably have a PR. It's going to send this thing. So, you know what? I'm looking to scoop it. If I wake up and that PR is out and it's obvious right off the open that they're selling that ATM, I'll take my profits and be gone. All right, and then the last one is Vuzi. Again, my friends are going to kill me. I don't care. This is starting to look nice here. I would like pullbacks to the 20-day. Don't know if we get it. It may start to go, but I'm not going to chase it. These are not the kinds of names I would ever chase. I just want to buy dips, see if the little trend holds. But again, there's so many names out there like this, guys, that, you know, look around. Take a look at some of these names that have built some bases and they're starting to curl, and you're going to find some names with really good risk reward. And that's really the secret, right? Is the risk reward, because the better the risk reward, the less often you have to be right. So, you know, what did we, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. I just gave you 7 possible swings, right? Well, guess what? If you buy them correctly with the right entry and the pot and knowing where they could get to, you probably only need 1 or 2 of them to be right to come out break even or a little bit better, right? So as long as your risk management's pretty airtight, you should be able to make some money on these if they go, if any of them go. All right, so the special situation is Mullen, and I know everybody's talking about it. Guys, this is the old NETE, and that company, I don't care who they acquire, what kind of magic story they come up with, what kind of Kool-Aid they are pouring down the bulls' throats. This company is not going to change their stars. They are always going to be the piece of shit that they are. Now, it reminds me a lot of CEI. And I mean this CEI back here. Whoops. Let me show you. Let's get rid of all this stuff. This is what Mullen reminds me of right here, okay? So, like, I know a lot of people watching this are going to be like, Ricky thinks Mullen's a short. Like, what a jerk. Well, I'm not saying it's a short yet. I'm saying it reminds me of this. And, like, this whole way up, you know, there was no short. There had been nothing, no reason to short it, okay? But when you get a move where it blows the hell out like that, now, I mean, look, you didn't even have to be on the first day. But when you get this giant blow off, guess what? You can come to the market with a thesis that the highs are in, and you can have set risk, and you can try to put an idea on. So what's that going to look like for Mullen? I don't know. I mean, honest to God, I think we were trading in this area, and I had tweeted that I think this looks like it could have a leg higher, right? All it needs to do is take out this $2 level, and sure enough, they did. So this could easily go 5. It could easily go friggin' 7. They have, I want to say, let's see. Let's go back to the Mullen numbers real fast. Just want to make sure I have the right numbers. Yeah, close to 5 million Series C convertible preferred stock at a conversion price of 402. And that's the lowest price of anything where you're going to find supply. So 402, and in order for people to dump convertible stock that they have to pay $4.02 to dump or to convert it, they're going to want it higher than that, right? So five doesn't seem like it's out of the freaking realm of possibility. You definitely could still be getting long this name on dips. I don't think it's a short yet, but I'm hands off on the long. I'm waiting for this to set up into a CEI type play, and it will be a very, very high conviction swing short for me when the time comes. So I already know how this is going to go. People are going to take this and run with it and be like, Ricky's Ricky is bent on a short position. Dude, I have no position at all in this thing, nor do I see any reason to. So people can say whatever they want. This is going to provide a humongous opportunity. So that's it. I'm going to get into the questions real quick. I think there's a few. Let's see. Paul Singh says short Mullen at 5. I don't, like I said at the beginning, guys, I'm not here to make predictions. I don't know where it's going to go. I let the price tell me when it's ready. Okay, so like just like I showed you a CEI, should be pretty obvious. When it's obvious, now you have set risk. Now you can attack. Would you say that TT Strat has extra edge in a sideways market? No. I think the edge is really amazing. That the strategy that we trade at TT is really, really good in all the markets. Now, I have noticed that it needs to be treated slightly different when volatility kicks up. But other than that, the edge is always there. Here's the funny thing. If you're really strict about trading the TT strategy the way it should be traded, it's the opening 30 minutes. And I'm going to tell you right now, the opening 30 minutes of the market where you have price discovery and those imbalances in price are usually pretty agnostic to the fact if we're in a bull market, bear market, or a chop market. You know, price discovery is going to happen in those first 30 minutes and then trends develop. So, you know, as long as you're sticking to that opening, you know, it's not even 30 minutes. Really, it's like those first 15 minutes when we get those really A+ TT setups, that, you know, doesn't really matter what kind of market you're in. But when the volatility is really high, you have to understand that sometimes those moves go a little bit further than what you're anticipating. Let's see. Can we go over CVS if you have it from last week? So I didn't buy it. I missed the scoop, but it came right down to the levels we had discussed. If I remember correctly, I think the reason I didn't get it was because I didn't like the time of day that it happened. Let me see if I can go back to where it was. Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. Actually, it was off the open. Let's see here. Yeah, I should have grabbed that. I mean, it is what it is. Like, honestly, I'll show you guys. It hit my alert. See if I can find it. So many alerts went off last week. Where is it? I don't want to waste your time with trying to show you alerts, but honestly, like, I should have grabbed it. I was alerted to it, and but if you snagged it, I mean, here's the thing. You have to understand going into the trade, what's your plan? Are you trying to day trade it, or are you trying to grab it for a swing? I like this chart for a swing, and I think we talked about that, right? The way that it's just holding this weekly 20, and you literally just got a long trigger based off the same thing we talk about every week. There's your higher low, and then over here was your trigger. So the target should be here. Your target should be all-time highs. If you're in the trade, this would be your target. And again, your thesis would be that this is going to continue its uptrend. Well, guess what? The only way for a stock to continue higher is to make new highs. So that's why your first target would be up here, and then you would leave some on to see if your thesis is correct. Does the trend continue higher? Ray says, may I ask what is meant by tightness? Yeah, so you probably are referring to when I was talking about Bitcoin, maybe. Let's see here. Whoops. Bitcoin, when we talk about things getting tight, and to be honest with you, Bitcoin's not the best example of something getting tight, but it just means, you know, you're getting higher lows and lower highs. It's just compressing, getting really nice, tight, and coiled. BTU was another example from the way we were talking about it. You know, this day here was a very wide range day, right? The big green candle, but then you get a really nice, tight inside day. Well, guess what? This is a daily candle. That daily candle is comprised of tons of little 5-minute candles, right? So you have to understand, it never broke the day before's highs, and it never broke the day before's lows. It made an inside day, it got tighter. Hopefully that helps you with that. Simon's asking me, MU short 82.50 or 85? Let's find out. 82.50 is the 20-day. You know that I have a personal love with that. Let's see. Honestly, I think 84.90 to 85. Is that what you were saying? 85. Yeah, 85 looks a lot better to me, just because of significant levels on the daily chart, right? Carlos says, "What's your view on RFP?" Guys, if you have questions about certain stocks, let me know what it is that you see in it, and or something more specific than just like, hey, look at this stock. I mean, tell you, nothing about it is something I would trade. Like, the universe of stocks that I trade is actually relatively small. Let me show you what I mean by that. Whoops, I was trying to go to FinViz. I want to show. Let me make this bigger so you guys can see this. Whoops. Can you guys see that okay? I want to show you something. This is FinViz. This is like something you can use for screening for stocks, right? So what makes a stock tradable for me? It has to have liquidity and it has to have range. And so if I were to just look at stocks over 15 bucks with average true range of $1.50 and average volume of at least 2 million shares. Look at this number right here, 428. There's only 428 stocks that even meet this criteria. And that's not very strict criteria. 2 million shares is like not a lot, right? We would like it to be even more liquid, 10 million, 20 million. The more liquid it is, the more I like it. Range is important. Let's say we like loosen that up. Let's just do $1. That's still only 550 friggin' stocks, right? Guess what? This was it RFP? I'm sorry if I forgot. Yeah, RFP. RFP doesn't make that list. It's trading 1 million shares and a 71-cent ATR. Like, to me, I personally wouldn't trade it. But from just a purely technical analysis standpoint, I mean, I can see an argument for it to come up and test highs. You know, we're just kind of making a nice little flag here on this is a weekly chart. Higher lows. It kind of needs to get above this 1664 area to come in. You know, I think over that is going to be your first level of make or break, right? Again, you weren't very specific with your question, so I don't understand what it is you want to know about it. Maybe you're looking at it for a short. You know, if I was going to short it, I'd probably be shorting a push into that level. Let's look at it on the daily again and see where it's at. Yeah, so if it were to slam on high volume all the way up into these highs, might fade it. If it were to flush down into the 20-day, the 13 area, that would be the level where I might look to try to scoop it. But again, I wouldn't trade this stock. Everybody, different strokes for different folks. There's like 7,000 names out there, guys. If you don't care about liquidity or range, have at it. I need liquidity and range to make money. Thoughts on ZI at 54? ZI is a thinner one too, right? No, it's not. Okay. At 54, I'd like it lower. 53. You know, you have the 20-day and the 50-day down there. I can see why you look at 54. Yeah, and you know what? You may get that flush down there, right? Because it's just made this push up into these recent highs, right into the underside of the 200-day. Very well might flush back down there. Not a bad look. And in fact, whoever, guys, if you're in chat right now, if you're in the live chat, throw your hand up if you were the guy that recommended ChargePoint last week. Somebody last week said, what about ChargePoint down here at the 20-day? And we talked about it. I said, that's a good eye. And look what it did. Straight up, right off that level, that was amazing. And whoever pointed that out has a good eye. In fact, I think Blink actually looks decent. I didn't put this on the list, but I have an alert set, right, for over this level. I think it's going back to test the 200-day. Again, another one that my friends would kill me. The reason why I didn't put this on the list is look at the volume. You know, it's if they get a PR and the volume comes in, we'll trade it. But I'm not trading it while it's trading 2 million shares a day. Okay, and then Javier also wanted to know about ALL at 130 or 128.11 for a long. That 128 area would be the first spot for me. I wouldn't really play it against this 130 area. I mean, you could really tight risk, right? Just kind of playing Friday's lows. but it's just a bit extended for me. I'd like to see that 128 area. Another good eye though. I like both that ZI and the AL idea are nice, Javier. So good eye on those. There's Grandizer asking the same names every week. Nothing's changed, bro, on those. What do you think will happen if China gives weapons to Russia? Probably a whole lot of bad things. Are you asking about stocks or to people? I think David says, I think SFM is something you would like to look at. Let's check it out. Oh, this is Sprouts. Okay, I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, it does look good. For something like this, it would be like more interested in possibly a swing idea. Just thinking that it is gonna come and retest these highs. So if that's what you were looking for on a swing idea, it'd be looking for dips. You see all these lows here, right? The tails on the daily candles. That's what we'd be playing against. So a flush down to 30.50 and see if it holds the 20-day and then maybe continues higher. Yogi with 100 tickers. Oh my God. All right, I'll do it, Yogi. Yogi says AIZ long at 173 area. Yogi, come on, man. Trading 800,000 shares a day. What do you want me to do with this? CB, let's see. He says CB long at 208. This one at least has some volume. Yeah, like I see it. Again, I wouldn't like. So me personally, I don't want to be dip buying something that's got that much room below it to the 20-day. It may work. If I traded that, the way I would personally do it is just really tight risk, low day against Friday's low a day. And if it loses Friday's lows, I would just clip it and move on. AVGO, Broadcom, another one that's kind of thinner. Actually, that's more liquid than I thought for a $400 or a $600 stock. Sorry. Man. Yeah, I don't know what level is he looking at. 600 for short. No, long at 600, short 612. Dude, I think it's a little tight to play a short. It's a $20 ATR. Shorting, you want to short it 2 points away from where it closed on Friday. It's a little close. I would be up here in the 630s. This recent high up here, which was what sent it down. And for the long, as much as I love 600 because it's that round psychological level, I still would rather see 585 to 590. I don't trade AVGO. Maybe I should, but it just typically isn't one that has my eye. DDS swing on a pullback to 280 area. I'll tell you this much. Retail, we talked about it earlier. Yogi, retail had that recent long trigger with room up to this 85 area, 86. So, there could be some upside in retail, and that chart is what you want for a long, right? That's a beautiful chart. I would be looking, if I wanted in on this, I'd be scooping those 280s. And if they failed, I'd bail and try it again at 260, and then I wouldn't really give it much. But good eye on that one. I do like the DDS look. Again, Yogi loves these low volume names. I won't trade them. I do understand. That's why he said for a swing. Baidu short potential under Friday's lows. Let's check it out. Yeah, that's an ugly candle on Friday. I would rather see a spike back up into 155 to short it. Maybe even play against Friday's highs. It's going to really depend on what happens with the China names as a sector, right? But yeah, this one definitely looks better than some of the other names. Remember, like that's what I was pointing out about CPNG was it never really got the bounce that some of these other ones did. Like Billy kind of looks pretty weak too. But Baidu, I love that Friday candle for what you're talking about, Jordan. Okay, guys. That's it. I'm gonna wrap this up, but hopefully you guys took some value away from this. Remember, the main focus early on was just if you're struggling right now, go back to your fundamentals. Go back to your A+ setup. It might provide you a lot less trades because you're just focusing on one setup, but it's your wheelhouse, it's what you know you do well, and it's what's going to help you build back your confidence and get you on the path to success again. So if you're struggling, go back to that A+ setup. If you've never been profitable and you're wondering why, maybe it's because you need to find that one setup, that A+, that quality setup. Okay, you don't need to be trading 100 different things. You need to just learn one thing really well. So till next Sunday, unless you're in TT, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. If you guys are not in TT, come sign up. There's a 5-day trial for $30, and if you like it, guys, it's $100 a month. And I'm telling you, compare what you get at True Trader to what you see in other rooms. A lot of these other rooms, guys, are just Discord or Slack rooms. Like, dude, you have no idea what you're missing out on, the tools and stuff that we offer over at True Trader. So please come check us out. I know I have a biased opinion, but I'm telling you right now, guys, we like to under promise and over deliver. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at the market. Peace.